The Hatfield-McCoy feud was one of the most infamous family conflicts in American history. It raged along the Tug Fork of the Big Sandy River, straddling the border of Kentucky and West Virginia. At its heart were two proud Appalachian families, the Hatfields of West Virginia, led by William Anderson Devil Anse Hatfield, and the McCoys of Kentucky, led by Randolph Randall McCoy. Murders, ambushes, and retaliations spiraled out of control, pulling neighbors and allies into the bloodshed. Today, the Hatfield-McCoy feud is remembered as both tragedy and legend, forever tied to the rugged mountains where it began. This story is one of many.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the next episode of the Hillbilly Files. For those of you who don't know, my name is Leo, and I will be your host today on a little trip through history, through the eyes of someone else. You know, kind of go and see things through someone else's eyes for just a second. I am just outside of, a few miles actually, outside of Pikeville, Kentucky, a little place called Yeager, Kentucky, at the Potter Cemetery. And I have a story about a very unusual character to tell you guys today. Matter of fact, it's this guy right here. I kind of got here and looked around just a little bit and didn't have a bit of trouble. Literally walked right straight to it. What are the odds of that? That very, very rarely happens. You know, you just get out of the car and, okay, let's start down. Oh, there it is. That's kind of how today went. All right, I'll start down here on this end and found it. There it is. Got it. Beautiful place, though. It's all fenced off and has all the wooden fencing all the way around it, and horses and cattle and donkeys and, you know, just a little bit of everything roaming around. And it's really pretty place, really pretty. Big rock walls right over there. But the reason I came here was this guy right here, like I said. Let me get comfy here, sit down, and I have a little bit of a story to tell you guys about this guy right here. W.A. Damron, 1873 to 1946. And that's Jane right there, Jane Damron. May 15th, 1882 to May 10th, 1951. This guy right here is the one that we came here. This is who we're here for today. I have a question before we get started. Have you guys ever looked at an old photo of whoever, you know, someone, whatever, famous old photograph, and wondered, who is that guy in the background? You know, he seems to be in all the pictures and he's all over the place, but who is he? You know, the one who's not named in the history books, the one whose story seems to have slipped between the cracks. He's obviously a central character to the story, but who is he? In this case, get situated here. In this case, that's William Auxier Damron, known to friends as Oak, according to descendants of his, but most often identified in writings and photos from the time simply as Ock, O-C-K, Ock. Now, Ock was born on September 28th in 1873, you know, like it says on the stone here in Pike County, Kentucky, the son of William and Elizabeth Branham Damron. And where was it? I just saw them too. Anyway, we'll get back to that. And husband of Jane Moore. Together, they had around 7 children, possibly more. And yet, most folks don't even know his name. In one of 4 known photos that we found with Auxier in them. If you'll look closely on the far left, standing proudly, the man next to him is Elias Hatfield, son of Devilance and Levice Hatfield, and front and center is Devilance Hatfield himself. Now this wasn't just a casual group picture of people who happened to be around, at the time. This was the Hatfield family and their most trusted inner circle. Now Auxier, he wasn't blood, but he was as close to them as kin, and especially close friend of Johnsy and Cap Hatfield, as a matter of fact. In another shot, you can see him near the doorway, and Levice Hatfield, Devilance's wife, sits with that stern expression women of the time often wore in pictures. And here, once again, there's Auxier, always on the edge of the frame, in the edge of the picture. Seems to be usually on the left, but always present, but never in the center of the story himself. Like so many in history, he didn't really seek the spotlight, but he did still play a large part in the events unfolding around him. In 1890s in Pike County, Kentucky, to be honest, those weren't easy years, to say the least. Coal mining hadn't exploded into a full-fledged industry yet. Families lived off the land, off of cornfields, raising hogs, and sometimes cutting timber. The winters were long and bitterly cold. Summers were hot, muddy, and filled with work from sunup to sundown. The Hatfield-McCoy feud still lingered in the air, even after the gunfire had mostly gone silent. By this time, Auxier had become a hired hand for Devilance. He worked in the Hatfield timber operations, helped out around the property, and was there for some of the most tense moments. It's said that in 1898, while accompanying Johnsy Hatfield, Auxier was beaten during Johnsy's capture, though we haven't verified that ourselves. It's still a reminder that even the so-called peaceful years of the feud still had their dangers. According to the 1920 census, Auxier ran a hotel and had his family living there, along with 13 boarders, a sign of his hard work and his role in the community beyond his ties to the Hatfield family. History likes to give us just a little headline name, but Devilance, Randall, McCoy, but behind every feud, behind every local legend, there's an inner circle of faces, just like Auxier, who stood there, living the same life, breathing the same mountain air, but eventually fading into the background of our memory and into history. Sadly, all things eventually come to an end for all of us, even if you are a friend of Devilance Hatfield and his family. William died on February 28th, on my birthday in 1946, at the age of 72 from cancer and malnutrition, in the little community of Esco, not far from where he started his life. He's buried here in the Potter Cemetery in Yeager. His wife, Jane, died at the age of 78 from pneumonia. She lies next to him. So today we came to visit Auxier and Jane and tell you guys some of their story, some of the story from the man who was in all of the pictures but was never in the center of the story. To me, it's just kind of strange. You know, you see famous photos from way back when, and there's all these things going on, and you got to kind of wonder what happened in this person's life, you know, to bring them to where they are, to that point. And now we know, don't we? Now we know. He was a unique individual. He lived during a very hard, very harsh time. And all of this was, well, you see the wilderness. All of this was the wilderness. There was no civilization. It was a different time. People were different. They hardier, a little bit tougher, a little bit meaner too, if you cross them. Mountain justice was its own thing here. And Auxier was one of the participants in that mountain justice. It's just he just sort of seemed to avoid the spotlight somehow. Always on the edge of the photo and never in the center. Today, though, he's in the center, isn't he? And now you guys know the story of one of Devlance Hatfield's favorite people and one of his right-hand men, Auxier Damron. Beautiful day, though, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful day out here for something like this. Well, alright guys, I'm going to get out of here and got to go on, move along. We've got more stuff to do today. Like I said, I just wanted to introduce you guys to someone that, if you're into history, if you're into the feud, you've probably seen his picture, but probably didn't know who he was. And now you do. His name was Auxier Damron. Anyway guys, we'll see y'all later. Y'all have a really good day. And Leo out. Excuse me, Hillbilly's out.